Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to another beautiful day of the LCO. You're not Kitty.
No,
You're Max.
I'm not.
Where'd Kitty go?
Huh? On to bigger and better things. Actually, there's nothing bigger and better than the LCO, but I'm excited to be here. It's been too long. I'm keen to get into some League of Legends.
Yeah, I'm keen as well. Keen to have Max here on the couch. Bringing the boys back together again, I guess. It's been a while.
I don't think I've actually, I know we've been on the same broadcast, but I don't think I've ever actually worked with Max. Because I've always been casting while he's been an analyst.
When he was over here.
Yeah.
It's a pleasure.
All about the opportunity.
This is the first time, I think.
Oh, that's beautiful. Well, look, everyone getting settled in, enjoying themselves. Of course, Kitty, she had something, she was talking about coffee or something on Twitter and, you know, just got too involved with that. So we didn't want her on the show today. But we got Max here anyway. And a beautiful couple of games to bring you all the fun. But let's quickly look back at what happened yesterday before we jump on into today's action.
Left flank, Dante here on his own so far. Hook shot across the wall. This is your worst case nightmare. Has to flash to his tower. That means Ryan's is chasing in hot pursuit. He's going to find the kill. Hexagon ultimate guarantees it. He's going to get out of range of that tower, no matter how empowered it might be. Challenge just annihilates Gooby. And they might do just what you said. If they can get an ace here, they get the dragon, they denied a point, and they get a little bit more. Perfect ace.
Voice now using his HP as a tool to bait. And he's gone. And the hook was thrown when he left.
Oh no, he's gone back in.
I can't.
Are you leaving? He's coming back in.
I don't.
Are you going?
My brother in Christ.
Oh, they know you're here now. Okay, flash punch ult. I tell you what, hey, it's a gank, it's a kill.
That was sick.
Hey. Oh, here we go, Raze. Turns on the music. He's feeling himself right now. The final chapter goes wide flash on their head. Delete Violet. You can't play. Inspired.
Raze.
He's got the cooldown reduction across the wall. He goes. It's beautiful. He's finding the zap. He wants a triple back. Don't steal it, and he gets it.
A crazy day of games, of fun, of action, of unexpected and expected results. I guess it had everything really yesterday. And we've got today, which has almost as much fun. Let's see what all the teams are currently sitting on the leaderboard before we jump on in to what games we're going to be seeing on this beautiful Wednesday. Our first super week of a couple this split. And that's, of course, why we've got Max here, because he's keen. Now, look, we haven't heard your opinion about what's going on the LCO because you haven't been here, Max.
Yes.
So tell me, what's surprising with this leaderboard? What are the expectations for where people should be, are, or shouldn't be at the moment?
Okay, two things that surprised me. One is that Pentanet or Chiefs, neither of them are at the top of the leaderboard. Right, I think going in, everyone had them unanimously 1 or 2. Right, to see Direwolves sitting up as their only undefeated team is somewhat unexpected. Mammoth as well. 2-2, right? I mean, when we predicted them, obviously a very young roster, not much experience, I certainly had them below teams like Blitz and Ground Zero, but so far they've actually managed to find a playstyle that has been working for them. The big question mark is whether they can actually continue that throughout the split, because like you've said, it's only been 4 nights of games. One of those was a forfeit win as well. So can they find that continued success as the split goes on?
We'll see if that happens. Of course, we'll see today's games and see what's playing who's playing what. And what's going to be kicking off the show. That, of course, is the Chiefs and Mammoth coming up shortly at 6 p.m. Following that, probably the game of the day, I'd say. It's GZ up against Team Bliss. And then, of course, at 8 p.m. to round us off, we've got Kanga and Direwolves. And today, PGG get the free win over Peace, who are still yet to show their cards on the board, I guess, so to speak. I don't know, it's depressing to keep on harping on.
Yes, it is.
It really is. Look, Rusty, if you had to pick one of these games to maybe pull the Max of the week, what would you pick?
I don't remember which game Max was casting with us. I can't answer that one.
The middle one.
There's the middle one. I actually was going to say that's probably the most interesting game to watch, but it's more like a form check today, it feels like, for most of the teams. Chiefs, with an exception to that, they were in the best form I've seen of them yesterday.
For sure, yeah.
But every other team kind of needing to find their best form through the first round robin before we go into a double elimination bracket. So big day of games for individual teams.
Well, you were right, and we have called it the Max of the week because Max is here, and it's the runner-up match of the week. Look at him. Oh, Mummy's little gamer, huh?
Hey,
you on the what?
Can I just shout out my actual mum for the idea behind this inspiration? Because I was going to do the double bicep pose.
Yep.
And then my mum goes, hey, how about you get in the bath instead? So this idea, I'll give credit to her.
Wait, is that a real photo?
Yeah.
I thought it was
No,
Photoshop.
I got in that bath.
All I'm saying is LCO's paying well, mate. You're living in a 5-star mansion. Look at you go, mate. How big is that bar, mate?
Oh, it's meters, mate.
I love the effort, but I didn't know that was a real photo. Now I'm really impressed by the effort you went to get that photo.
Yeah.
Anyway, that's going to be Ground Zero and Team Bliss. As Rusty mentioned just before, it is a bit of a form check to see if Team Bliss are going to be able to, hold all the pieces together. Ground Zero showed us what they can do in the first 10 minutes yesterday. Now we need to see them, continue to evolve and lock it down, continue those leads. But we'll talk a little bit more about that when we get there. For now, we're going to have a quick check-in with some pets, the jungle pets to be exact, and what we are seeing, what we're not seeing, and what's winning a lot more than others. And that, of course, is your Moss Stomper seedling, the green pet, picked for 2/3 of the game so far, and including both sides, right? And then you got the win rate of 56% is pretty damn good. You've got the Gust Walker hatchling with a 1/3 of the games being picked with not too good of a win rate. I definitely think it's, champ dependent. And then, of course, the Scorch Claw pup. I feel like we're not seeing that at all because we're not seeing too many tank-centric comps, and that's kind of what the bonus is you get from that, right? The max HP burn.
The max HP burn is nice. I think in reality, a small AoE slow that comes with it as well is valuable. But like you said, it is kind of champion dependent.
Yeah.
But also in competitive, it's super valuable to be able to move faster, to get places faster, and therefore the Gust Walker is going to have value.
Yeah.
That and like the obvious value of the Moss Stomper, I think, just makes it best in slot for the jungle champs right now. It's a permanent shield when you're out of combat, and the first instance of crowd control that hits you is reduced by 20%. Just makes it so good and so valuable, regardless of the champion that you are. Even that little bit of extra damage may not be as worthwhile as the shield to allow you to get another rotation of spells off.
It's crazy. Like, I didn't notice what it was until yesterday when we were actually discussing it. I thought it was when you got the smite, like the fully upgraded smite is when those effects kicked in, but not on you, on your smite. And I was like reading it all backwards, and then you're like, no. And
They all have
schooled.
blue smite now.
Yeah. And then I was like, wow. And then here we are. Look, figured it out. Only took, 3 weeks of playing the bloody new season. But I just didn't read. Look, I don't know how to read. That's a bit of an issue on my end. It's unfortunate. Now, you, of course, big top laner.
Yep.
If you had someone ganking for you, which of those pets would you like seeing running by the side?
Look, I've been playing a fair bit of jungle as well recently, and green is just broken. Like Zach said, like no champion is going to shy away from free tenacity and a free shield.
Yeah.
And when you think about the champions that are being played in the jungle right now, like Sejuani, Wukong, Vi, all of them just want to just engage, and so having anything that enables them to stay in the fight for a bit longer is just perfect. So
Yeah.
I don't really see why you'd opt for anything else. Besides, obviously the blue one when you do want to go a little bit faster.
Yeah.
Okay, and look, considering you're here and we don't have any top laners on the couch, especially when Kitty's here, we got double supports. So we got rid of one of those
Very biased.
support players
otherwise.
out here. We've got an ARAM, don't even know what role
No,
that is.
if I was a role, I used to be support, but actually really like playing AD carry. I just like being a marksman, so I'd say I'm probably in the bot lane. We're gonna Jerome, mate.
You don't
but
like farming, mate.
I hate farming, but I like being AD carry. Figure that one out.
It makes sense, absolutely.
So I
makes
guess I'm just
sense.
playing Ashe support, Caitlyn
Senna.
support,
Caitlyn, yeah.
Senna support.
It works right now, but maybe you should get back in the Rift instead of playing on the Hell in Abyss. Either way,
Sure, mate.
we brought in the top laner to tell us what's going on up top, worldwide, what are the best champs at the moment, and what should be getting played here in the LCO.
Yeah, so like whenever there's a really OP top lane champion, or champion in any role for that matter, the whole sort of meta in that role becomes a sort of a game of rock, paper, scissors, right?
Yeah.
So you have the main champion, and then you're like, okay, well, what beats that champion? And right now, the champion that is insanely broken is K'Sante. If you've watched Pro in any region, you know that this champion is basically the highest presence top lane, if not champion overall, just because its laning is insanely good. Like, it can fight any champion in lane. It somehow scales as well, like on par with the Fiora, maybe a tiny bit worse.
Yeah.
And then in team fights, you pop that ultimate and you're one-shotting the enemy AD carry despite having 3 tank items, right? So it's pretty disgusting what this champion can do. And then sort of the question's been, okay, well, what are we actually picking into K'Sante if we're not banning it? And that is where Jax comes in. Now, Jax is my personal favorite pick on this patch that's not K'Sante. And it's been seeing a lot of blind picks in other regions, right? Teams have just been willing to just slap this whenever, like on 3, on 4. And they're willing to take whatever matchup. But in OS, it's a pick we're not really seeing. Like, we've had one pick out of the entire split, right? It's been banned 4 times.
Yeah.
Internationally, we're seeing it at about 90% presence in the LCS and LEC, but it's just not getting picked in OS. So I'm wondering whether this will be the week where teams start moving more towards this pick, because I know it is a more carry-oriented pick that you do have to put resources towards. But at the end of the day, it's a really strong pick, a really strong scaler, and something I want to see a bit more of.
Okay, and what about, look, your Jace, your Renekton? I think you wanted to talk about the Renekton build you've been seeing here as well. You wanted to have a little rant.
Yeah, okay. Do not, to any Renekton player, do not build Gore Drinker, okay? Unless you are versing like 4 or 5 melees, please never purchase Gore Drinker. You will do 20 times more damage going Prowler's Claw and Bork. The amount of times you see a Renekton in pro play, and we've had some in OS as well, they pick Gore Drinker versus like 3 or 4 ranged champions. You E in and you do nothing, right? At least you're able to get a one-shot off, and you're actually tankier because of all the ability you're able to do in terms of lifesteal you're able to get in the middle of a team fight. So I just really hate seeing the Gore Drinker build. Guys, don't do it.
Just don't do it. Just don't do it. Anyone else want to touch on some of this top lane magnificence?
So I was talking to BioPanther a little bit as well on the way here, just about top lane matchups to kind of see where he was at, because he was playing the Renekton yesterday as well. And one of the cool things about Renekton, not that Renekton's the best, be-all, end-all champion, but the way that he is so powerful that he kind of forces your opponent to pick some of these other meta champions that do require top attention. So like you just heard from Max, picking Fiora, you kind of want to play towards top side. You kind of want to do that with Jax and Jace as well, or just not neglect them, or they could really suffer. Because you picked Renekton, they kind of need to now play towards that, but Renekton's so good with the meta junglers that are very good at 2v2ing that you tend to just win. So like you kind of force the map up towards you, and you are winning in that situation anyway, which is where things like an Ashe Varus on the bottom side that like maybe are getting constantly ganked can be given a reprieve because junglers are busy dealing with top lane. So I think that's one of the big parts of merit behind where Renekton is good, but also a major risk in picking things like the Jace Fiora if you're not actually getting supported, because a lot of junglers in the LCO are playing towards bot.
Now, Skimmy.
Yes, man.
I know you're not too much of a top laner, but I know that you care about the average length of a game because you've got places to be, right?
I do. I have definitely got other things to be doing right now, and that could be getting off this couch.
That's a way to say it.
Let's talk about this one here, because so far it's been a really quick-paced meta. You'd have to say the least. I mean, a lot of that's going to be fueled by the fact that we do have Cassante coming into the fold of things he wants to certainly punch on. You've got all these aggressive junglers like that Sejuani, Vi, and Wukong, but primarily it's going to be about the Lucian Nami. As you can see there, this time last split, basically the exact same meta. We've had Ares as well. The only major difference is that Viego has stepped out of that role, right? We're no longer having the hard carry junglers. It's much more about the heavy engage, right? Because you have enchanters in the bot lane, you don't have your stereotypical like Alistairs, Nautiluses, and so on down there. So a very similar meta in that fold of things, but it's such a big difference. If you look at the average game length so far, 28 minutes is what we have now. Compare that all the way back to the start of last year when we had all these AD carries like your Jinx, like your Philios, like your Corkis. They just would be AFKing 2-3 items, maybe then starting to feel a little bit interested. How many times do we have games go to 45 minutes, 50 minutes, right? Unheard of at the moment. Even saw inklings of it, I suppose, last split. I think we had like a 17, 18-minute win by the Chiefs. We're certainly on par for that. I mean, how many games have we had this split already where Baron on spawn at 20 minutes, teams are taking it? So I personally enjoy the fast-paced meta compared to what you see sometimes happen on like LCK, where these games can go on for like an hour. But I'm just curious to see, if it is going to continue that way, because certainly if it does go the distance, then things like the Jaxes you want to see become a little bit more interesting, a little bit more exciting compared to Renekton in the early game.
Okay, Max, why do you think it's getting a little bit faster?
Well, I actually think it's a lot down to the jungle pool, because I think a lot of the junglers that we're seeing right now are really heavy engaged. There's a really easy way to pull the trigger, right? If you think about picks like Vi and Sejuani, compare that to, the Viegos that we were seeing before. Sure, you can flash W, but it's not as reliable as the junglers that we have now. So a lot of the ability to just pull that trigger, start a fight whenever you want, that can lead to the game snowballing out of control, getting those Barons and ending the game a lot quicker. 2 minutes is quite a significant difference in terms of average game time.
Yeah, especially over however many we've seen. I think our longest game time's like 35, 38 minutes.
The whole first week was 25-minute average.
Yeah.
I think, so like we're heavily skewed downwards, I think, from that first week. But
yeah, crazy.
Yeah, the longest so far, Chiefs dial was 36. Otherwise, it's just been 20-minute bangers.
36. Even that feels short compared to what we were getting last year. It was always like a 45-minute game.
45-50, yeah.
Look, either way, I want to hear from you guys at home, at LCO on the Twitter sphere. Can you go to bed on a loss, or do you have to wait for a win? Because, look, I've had my own
I don't know, Matt, do you? Do you have to wait for a win
today?
Can you go to work on a win?
I only lost today, and I was like, I can't go to work. After, I think it was I posted it on Twitter, it was like a 3-17-2 Kha'Zix game.
Roughie.
Partially, look, my mental was gone. gone. So when my teammates started blaming me for things that weren't my fault, and my Shaco was taking my jungle, and my teammates weren't helping me protect my jungle, it just kind of happened. And anyway, ended on a win with going back to Shyvana, which is not meta at all. I was like, screw it, I'm playing my favorite, I'm playing my girl. Got that dub. Anyway, look, let's have a look at some of these submissions. Can you go to work or bed on a lost streak, or do you have to wait for a dub? Work queue takes priority and requires 6+ hours sleep before queue pops to find... Wait, sleep before queue pops to find a match? Wait, what's work queue?
Going to work.
Work.
Of course. Yep.
Yeah.
Win or loss doesn't matter when I'm going to be up to drive to Summoner's Rift to earn gold in a tedious hour-long game.
They've done the whole analogy of like, this is a Summoner's Rift game.
They've
but
thrown
it's
you
their
off there, Mac.
actual
Yeah,
job.
Yeah.
They've been a little bit too clever.
I was reading the words and I was like, these aren't stitching together in my head. What am I talking about right now?
But he's saying he doesn't play till a win. He goes to work.
Yeah.
That's what we're getting here. And
Lame.
it's an hour-long drive, so I feel bad.
And you disagree.
I end on a win.
Yep, 100%.
Yeah.
I'm now on that bandwagon too, apparently.
Welcome aboard.
Here we go. We got Bumper FPS. You go to bed when the streak ends. If you're on a win streak, you play until you lose. Vice versa. So
Controversial.
See, I don't know. Like, I'm happy to go to bed. If I'm winning, if I'm like on a win streak, I'm just happy to go to bed whenever. Like,
Yeah.
as long as I've got that win, I agree with, I agree with not going to bed until you
That's
win.
dangerous, though, isn't it, Mac? Because
If
you
you're
look
up,
at
you're
like
up.
8 wins, then you lose, then you're just tilted.
Yeah.
Then
I'm not
you're
going to bed
Mate,
after that,
that-
bro.
hey,
You're
No
laying in
way.
bed shaking.
I kind of agree. Because if you've got this bank of elo and then you just lose a little bit of it, you're like, all right, I've just hit loser's queue. I'm going to stop while I'm ahead. And I think that's pretty safe. So I'm agree with that one. I believe we have a couple more to have a quick look at as well, because these are all still flowing over from yesterday. You guys sent in so many, so we really, struck a chord with this bloody from the fans. Papa Pike, I don't need sleep, I need LP. That's so true. That's so true.
That's true. Shout out to Papa Pike, co-streams the LCO. Certainly needs that LP.
I think I met him
Not that sleep.
at DreamHack
Yeah, you would have.
last year. Yeah, I think I shook his hand.
Well,
Pretty sure I did. Yep,
Shook the hand of a winner.
of a winner, absolute winner. Let's have a
Not
look
someone who
at
sleeps.
this next one. Who we got? Refury. Hot take. It's harder to sleep on a winning streak. Is it?
Cap.
That is a lie.
That sounds like addiction.
Yeah.
Harder to sleep on a
That's a
winning?
dopamine hunter.
I play League 12 hours a day, and it's all I can think about, but I'm not addicted, guys. Don't worry.
Trust.
Right, okay.
I think it's easy to shut your eyes and fall asleep when you're on a win streak. I think what he's talking about here is there is so much more free LP to be gained because you're on a streak. So why would I go to bed when I'm on the streak?
Okay.
Okay.
Did you do psych at uni?
Me? No.
Nah, you should. Getting in his head real easily. Look, we got one more to have a quick
Head
look
of
at
League
as
of
well.
Legends players.
Who do we have?
Yes,
wants to
we
be
have we have Rice unlisted. 2 losses equal bed to reset mental. Yeah, I'd have to agree. I don't know if Kitty would agree with that.
I think it reaches a critical mass, Like, you've just lost 5 in a row, and you're just like, it's doom hours. It's just, I'm quitting. Maybe you uninstall, and the next day is a brand new day, you reinstall.
I was very close to uninstalling today,
Yeah.
but I played one more instead. Go figure. Either way, look, it's time to start talking about game number 1 of the day. We got Mammoth up against the Chiefs. It's the top almost versus the bottom almost. Let's see how Mammoth do. Of course, Voice, he's been doing a whole lot of work for Mammoth. I'm going to ask you, Max, what have you seen from this roster that's impressed you so far, and how open are the skies as to the improvement arc?
Well, I really like their approach to this game that we're seeing now versus Kanga. I think their draft made a lot of sense in terms of giving them a lot of easy ways to get kills with that Nautilus, with that Vi. I think they had a really clear strategy of playing around Voice. And we know from watching Voice for almost 2 years now that he is someone who is going to play aggressive. So instead of trying to, control that, why not play to it? Why not enable him to do it? And Rusty, I know you absolutely love this play. But they are willing to do absolutely anything to get Voice ahead. And I think if that's something they can replicate today, they could potentially have a point of strength.
I enjoyed that as well, because I didn't look at the intricacies. Apparently, the flash comes after the Q on a Vi, so it's just some, full-on pocket tech skimmy. I think you got schooled on that one as well?
On your Vi?
On this Vi.
Oh, yeah.
You're
I
a
did.
space kid
No,
at skimmy.
I was
he's
like,
We were
gone.
literally talking about this like 10 minutes ago.
no,
By the
because
way,
I was just watching. I was just like, It's a flash punch, not a punch flash. And I'm just in my own head rent-free about this ever since Rusty told me that. I don't care, you're chatting.
Look, I haven't ever paid attention to the fact that people are flashing after the Q's like gone max range and then you still hit them.
You still understand what happened. That's what it matters, isn't it, mate?
It was good, it was good. Now look, let's talk about the Chiefs, of course. Max, you're my big analyst today because you have 2 weeks of matches and ideas to break down. So tell me, what's good about the Chiefs? What are you liking them from so far?
I'm going to start with a hot take. I think Kisei is going to be the MVP this season. I don't think it's going to be close.
Okay.
I think if he plays like he has the last couple games, it's not even questionable. Like he is elevated. Like he was already insanely good last year, but the form that he's come into with this split, I mean, like basically every time you see him, he's making an outplay. And I think that, the game against PGG was a really reassuring one for me because, Chiefs did look shaky against Direwolves, right, when they dropped that game. But I think that being able to convincingly beat PGG has restored my faith in this team and their ability to scale into the split because, looking at these players, they're going to be able to deliver. It's just a question of when will they get into that form.
It was a very interesting game, wasn't it? It felt like Chiefs definitely hit a different level or something was going wrong for PGG. You could see that they didn't get to execute the plan that they said that they were saving from the day before. And look, it feels like PGG now, they're on a bit of a rocky boat that they need to steady. But at the moment, look, Chiefs going into Mammoth. I don't know if anyone's going to be super surprised by a result, but I'm already up to have that discussion. For Mammoth, are we expecting, are we giving them like 5%, 10% chance of a win today, or is it more towards like the 1 in 100?
I want him to double down on the playstyle from yesterday, right? Some reliable CC. If it is just to be a guaranteed targeted CC, like the Nautilus fight, you just look at Kisei, you look at Raze and say you're not allowed to go Psycho mode like they did yesterday. That would be my way to approach it and just give yourself that early point of strength because, yeah, as you say, Max, Voice loves the Dravens, he loves the Samiras, the Twitches, any kind of champion that allows you to be a real menace.
Well, I want to talk about this mid lane matchup as well because De Jong, we haven't seen as much from him as we sort of saw last split last year. He was doing a lot of work, he was turning a lot of heads, but today he's got a big matchup. As you mentioned, you already touting Kisei as the MVP for the split. So what's De Jong got to do to try to win lane?
I mean, we got to see his signature pick yesterday, right? He got the Zoe and did look pretty decent with that one. And he was happy to handshake the Cassidy matchup and take that type of style because he got to roam more. And I think that's something that, like, realistically for Mammoth, they should be looking to do again, similar to what Skimmy just said. But, like, mid-priority, playing towards side lanes is something that Dajong hasn't done the best at all times.
Yeah.
But now he's got a team that does want to play around their bot lane a little bit more, right? He spent the past year with an organization where he was kind of the centerpiece of the team, and they weren't playing around him very well. So I think being able to play the same champions that he has in the past, but work with Akano, play towards bottom, get the Draven or Voice, whatever champion he's going to play this time ahead, that's their recipe for success. Because if he's stuck mid against Kisei, not sure that's a matchup that he wins the longer that he stays there.
Well, let's see what Dajong thinks of that statement, Rusty, because he is here for the pre-match interview. Dajong, mate, welcome to the LCO pre-match. Quickly tell us, what's going to go down in mid today? Because Kisei, he's been a monster mechanically lately.
I'm pretty excited for tonight's game. Kisei, obviously, great player. So I think it will be a really fun game, honestly, matching up with him in mid lane. Due to unfortunate circumstances, we're put behind a bit in draft with our bans. But nevertheless, I feel like today should be a fun game.
Yeah, and now last game, when you guys got the dub against Kanga, you guys seem to have a very clear plan in terms of your aggression heading towards that bot lane. Is that more aggressive playstyle something you guys have been practicing in scrims, trying to take teams off guard and really keep up the tempo of the game?
Well, I think it starts with Akano. He's a very aggressive jungler, really likes to make plays, really wants to get the game accelerated. And I think it's just us kind of matching his tempo and try to put him in a situation where he can flourish, basically. And honestly, I think it fits really well with how the rest of us want to play the game. So yeah, I think the rough idea of how our comp worked last night, I think that should be a general strategy for us today as well.
And how's the rest of the camp feeling going up against the Chiefs? Of course, they're not quite at the top of the table, but they are, coming in with the win last split, and pretty much, they've just got like 2 players swapped out, 3 players kind of swapped out. Are you expecting Chiefs to sort of be towards the top again? Are you putting them as like the #1 team? And, you know, does that put extra pressure on your shoulders going into today's match?
Personally, I don't think there's really any pressure on us per se. As probably you guys talked about, I don't think there's anyone voting for us to win or anything like that. But I think they're a very good team. The Chiefs have a very great record of just being excellent in general. But I think we have a decent strategy, and I think we'll make the game interesting at least.
Okay, well, thank you very much, DeJong, for your answers. And look, we'll let you go, get ready for the game, and look, enjoy the game with no pressure.
All right, thank you. See you guys.
Quick chat with him.
I need to think about what I'm going to say before we throw interviews better.
Next
Next
time,
time,
talk to Rusty. Do
Dajong
not
is
speak to Rusty.
trash. Oh, anyway, we've got Dajong here, and he heard that. I need to be more careful.
Hey.
Well, I did thankfully only say Kisei was going to win. I didn't say he was going to lose.
Yeah, you didn't flame Dajong.
Yeah,
but
no, it's just a healthy reminder.
it's one of those things, though, like, Dajong obviously respects Kisei as a mid laner as well, so he realizes today's game is going to be hard. He said, there's no expectations, so we're just going to do our best. And that's all you can ask for.
And that's sometimes a really good thing as well. Is like you can sometimes play so much better when there are no expectations, right? Like no one's, like you said, no one's coming in expecting Daejeon to absolutely crush Kisei or Mammoth to stomp Chiefs, right? So if you are free to play aggressive and, you know, if something goes bad, you're not like, oh my god, it's the end of the world. You're like, okay, well, we'll roll with the punches and get back up. So I think that that's actually quite a liberating mindset to have.
100%. But a liberating mindset is winning the coin toss, because you get to have your counter pick, you get to blind pick, you get to do what you want. And today, we got Chiefs choosing red side. And to top that off, if you didn't see it on the Twitter sphere, what DeJong was saying, I think they've lost, was it 4 bans?
All 5.
All 5 bans. So Chiefs not only get a counter pick, but they get pure Exodia comp if they wish.
You want to talk about like why blue side's strong. Usually it's, you know, a strong blindable pick into a 2-3 lane together, but with that many bans missing, like they're just all going to be available anyway, so there's no reason to not have the counter pick. That, and I think like, and we spoke about this yesterday, Kisei having counter picks really valuable, but also getting rid of, when you're the favorites against an underdog, getting rid of the variable of like this surprise counter that you're not prepared for, I think is actually quite valuable and a reason to pick red side.
It's just, if things couldn't have been harder for Mammoth in this matchup, like, they're playing on impossible mode, but let's see if they can beat the impossibleness of the situation. Either way, Def fan vote time. Max, do you know where they put those points in?
I do. I'm not really close to... Oh, fantastic.
Now you are.
Thanks, production.
Insane.
Right there.
Right there. That's where you put your Twitch points. Let us know how you think this game's going to go. Look, Chiefs, they did lose the other day, so maybe there's a world where Chiefs lose again. If there's any Mammoth supporters out there still, you know, hanging on to some of those points. I think some of the Mammoth supporters would have got, you know, a couple of points yesterday when they beat Kanga. So look, there's a little bit of Twitch points in there. Ooh, throw them into the poll. Do it just for us. Now, how do we think this game's going to go? Again, another situation, Max, where we haven't heard your take on these predictions, but you're doing pretty well. I think you're on the next page, though.
I'm pretty sure
You're
I'm
not?
dead last. Yeah, we're tied. We're tied last
8-4. Oh,
in predictions.
where'd we go wrong, huh?
I predicted PGG to win a few too many times.
Okay.
I think, but look, at the end of the day, I think this one's pretty clear-cut, like we've all been saying. I did say that about the Mammoth game yesterday as well, to be fair. But I think that this one, obviously, I think, you know, potential top title contender versus a team that's currently sitting in the middle of the pack, but definitely, you know, rookie team, got a lot of room to go up, so I'm going with the Chiefs.
Yeah, none of us getting that perfect prediction split. Nowhere near it at the moment. Like 2? Everyone's got 2 Ls?
At least 2, I believe,
How about 10 dubs, mate?
But 2 Ls.
And 10-2, mate. Top of the league.
10-2. Skimmy's winning.
Yes,
As
we
per
asked how many
expected.
losses. We don't worry
Play
about the
A-Ram.
losses.
Okay.
Big brain, bro.
Yeah?
So you're going for a flex there.
Yeah,
No, I've got no biceps, mate. I'm Jason Gooby. Sheesh.
Is Skimmy the only one on the couch that doesn't go to the gym?
The only gym I go to is this one here, mate.
Very true.
The E-Gym.
Yeah,
The E-gym.
the E-Gym. Eh?
Big fan.
Either way, where are we seeing Mammoth have their most influence today? Is it going to be Akano, you know, maybe getting the Vi again, playing something aggressive? Are we expecting Voice to try and gap Raze of all people? Like, what's the win condition for Mammoth, if there is one?
Well,
against all of
it
us.
has to be Akano, right?
Yeah.
Like we can say there's worlds where mid lane does well, where bot lane gets kills again, but I think like above all else, Akano should be the one who like sets up the play. And I do think, like you just heard as well from Dajung, similar to what we saw from them, that is a natural play style for them going towards bottom and gravitating down there. So Akano being aggressive, Babib has been seen in jungle 1v1s, losing level 3s, having to disappear to the other side of the map more than once so far. And Chiefs, their shakiest points has been the early game. So I think that's definitely one of the things that Akano has working for him right now.
Okay, and if we're looking at that support matchup, we got Entrust up against Aladoric. That's going to be an interesting one for you guys to talk about because Champ Select is ready. Let's jump into game 1 of the day.
Let's do it. Let's figure out what happens in this bit of a David and Goliath situation, to be quite frank. Mammoth without a single ban to utilize up against a red side counter pick too. It's going to be a bit of a tough one to try and exploit, and you talk about it should be an Akano masterclass. Well, that's exactly what Chiefs are targeting here.
Yeah, via Elise taken away. Of course, Mammoth, as we have stated, but now we're officially in draft, aren't going to have any bans for this game. They're going to be losing all 5 of them. I'm now just going to be suffering with a jungle champion pool issue with no counterplay, no specific bans to take away from their opponents. It does make draft a little bit difficult, and I will always say this. I understand the punishment of losing bans, but even the Chiefs now have to, reassess how they're going to ban things because those bans are missing.
Well, you hedge on other things being banned to help you out at the same time, right? As you say, obviously so much is strong right now on this current patch of 13.1 that, the ability to go either blue or red side doesn't seem to be too much of an issue. In saying that, though, Chiefs have had a big emphasis towards playing the red side. 3 of their 4 games so far have been that, with Kisei and Bio receiving the counter pick at every given opportunity as Chi-Chi opens up with the Fiora.
Now, suffice to say, everything is still available for top lane, so Bio Panther gets his pick of the litter, knows that it's going to be the Fiora matchup. It's really the champions that get picked around this that are going to stand out and be important. Both Fiora and Jax have been picked around the world. We've seen this matchup one time, I believe, in the LCO, and that was Blue versus Chippies. And that was, it feels like it's 55-45 Fiora favored in terms of a matchup, but Jax has distinct windows where he's strong.
Yeah.
And especially if you're going to have something like a Sejuani to complement you, right? If there's ever 2v2s or ganks, the stun combos that come from that, very nice.
Yeah, absolutely, between passive and Counter-Strike. Maokai being hovered and now confirmed. Another really strong counterpart in the jungle for this engage style, especially when everything else has been removed. Jarvan has been played by both, but the Maokai just a little bit more reliable.
Yeah, certainly is a good pick for them here. And again, it does feel like we're getting 2 fairly similar drafts overall, both just picking their own points of strength. Ashe going to be an interesting 3rd pick here around the south, given its flexibility. It's never going to be a bad choice. Now, knowing that Mammoth have no bans, of course, seeing an Ashe and a Maokai, they will lock in the Sylas, which is fantastic value here. And then they can just get rid of things that handle the Sylas matchup, right? Knowing that a Kassadin can be taken away. I don't know if Chiefs are particularly afraid of an Ashe plus AD bot laner combo, but that, I guess, can be considered. But they haven't revealed any of their bottom lane yet.
And I think that's it, right? They're anticipating what could be creative and clever in the bot lane and just saying, Kisei, you're good enough to take this matchup blind. And we do know that Dajung really loves playing the Sylas as well. So if he was to opt to try and take that to match Kisei in any kind of omni-roaming style of play, then that has now been thoroughly faulted.
I mean, you can get rid of the Zoe perhaps just because it's comfortable for him. And Sylas doesn't steal a very good ult with the Zoe.
Sure.
But I don't think you're terrified of a Zoe if you're Sylas. In fact, it kind of puts a target on her head if she uses the portal, right? You just use those chains straight after
And you just
and
travel
say,
with.
thank you very much.
Absolutely.
On my way back.
Instead, the Rise has been denied, so 2 really good hyper-scaling mid-lane mages, if Mammoth were to opt for that route. Would seem a little bit risky after what we saw Kanga do into Mammoth exactly with a Kassadin and Fiora of themselves.
Yeah, they certainly tried to scale into that game, but they had some pretty big issues across the board in that Kanga game. Mammoth capitalized, they were aggressive, they punished well, and that's something we want to see more of today. But Chiefs, of course, a different caliber, different beast right now. Looking towards their 4th pick, most likely just an ADC, right? You've seen the Ashe. Varus is banned. I don't know if they will just go for Zerayumi, but that's possible. We've seen that from them before, right? But into an Ashe lane, it can be a little bit more difficult to navigate. And saying that, they were into
a Draven Caitlyn, which was
Caitlyn.
pretty annoying to contend with, absolutely. Begs the question, will they opt for the hyper-scaling champion like this for a team fight style, or whether or not they wanted to go for something with a little bit more range. Varus obviously removed from their end. Caitlyn was still up and available, so that seems like a done deal. Now it's just really, is it Lulu, was it Yuumi?
I was also going to say, like, Lucian Nami is available, but it's not something that they're going to opt towards. Being the Chiefs, they don't mind themselves the Zeri and ex-champion side of the coin. I like holding support because Alidoric's flexibility is invaluable for their overall draft. If it is like an Ashe Varus style bot lane, which is kind of the direction we're going right now, there's possibilities of a Nautilus, right? There's possibilities of something that can be more aggressive, like a melee support.
Yeah.
If it's a free lane, then you just pick the Yuumi. And we saw great success from that yesterday for Alidoric with Raze on the Zeri. As that would be a power move, picking Yasuo with no knockups around you.
You're thinking you need more engage because it's, that's good. A solo Maokai looking to try and pick up all the pieces and get the job done, and we've seen what that's looked like already here in the LCO. So the Yone comes out, the Seraphine makes its debut for 2023, which is pretty exciting. Haven't seen it in a very long time as Alidoric is cycling through. Do I play the Yuumi or do I show them how to play these melee supports?
I'm all for the Bardhov, I'll bring that one back. Yuumi is a little bit boring, I won't lie. Of course, Alidoric going through all of his champion options saying, can I pick this coach? Can I pick this coach? What about this coach? And he said, you're joking.
You must play this before it gets nerfed for next patch.
Just meowed in comms.
Probably did.
Probably did. What else are you going to do?
I've played ARAMs with some of these lads, and I'm telling you what, they will just start descending into meow, 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 meow. And
true.
just thinking, I'm not going to get healed unless I start to meow for them. And that's a whole nother kettle of fish. Let's not,
it's one worth remembering, though.
Let's not break that one down too much further.
You heard it here first, guys. The Chiefs meow in comms.
Hey, never said that. I will
say 2023. You want heals? You meow for me.
My little kiddo. I'm actually sad for Voice because I meme about it as much as we saw it last year, where you're thinking he likes to be so aggressive. He got put on Seraphine duties towards the tail end of Split 2, and it looks like it's kicking off here once again.
Yeah, so it does seem like it's going to be the Ashe support for Entrust, followed up with the Seraphine AD position. They have gone for magic damage through their jungler. We'll see if Akano does build magic, right? Goes for the Demonic Embrace style. Given what he's got in his lanes, I wouldn't mind that. But at the same time, he's now the sole frontline of the team, right? So there is an argument to be made for the Radiant Virtue build instead.
Sure.
They have a lot of engage between Ashe, Seraphine, Maokai ult to lock you down, and then Yone in those team fights can, of course, find extra angles. It's just a weird comp to me in terms of where their damage comes from. Because if you're reliant on a Yone being in front, there's a lot of tools to deal with him on the Chiefs side.
Yeah.
Very easily to deal with him on the Chiefs side. So he needs the Maokai with him. But if the Maokai is not a tank, Yone has to build tanky. And if he's building tanky, then they're starting to run out of damage in their comp. So I'm looking at Mammoth and thinking that's like a one-item spike composition.
For sure.
Seraphine does a lot of damage at that single-item spike if it's a Leandri's style build. And that might be when they want to find themselves a sizable advantage in this game.
To me, it just screams that they want to absorb the pressure of the Chiefs, respecting that they are really well adept at team fighting themselves and wanting to have enough resources to try and interrupt the pace of what that fight could look like. Because you see what they have. They're going to have a Sejuani with the Yuumi on the head, just layering CC, while somebody like a Jax or is there, even the Silas, just rocks up and takes you right on down. It's an interesting discussion when you talk about the itemization for somebody like a Yone or a Maokai, given the limitations that they do have. But here we go. Let's see if it is the proof of the pudding of them finding what they need to try and accelerate at that one-item spike. It is day number 3, the very first Super Week here to kickstart 2023, as Mammoth hunt down the Chiefs, looking to try and cause the upset.
Voice at risk here. Silas can jump over walls if he starts with the E. Has started with it, just used E1, didn't get over the wall.
Oh.
Missed the E2. I know that was not seen, but if you look at the bottom left, you saw him use it inside the pit. So didn't get over. Perhaps that was the plan. Was going to just channel that up so the chains come through and try and push them in that direction. Cute idea. Unfortunately, just not finding it. And means that the very easy trade skimmy on the opposite side of the map in the form of a ward can be placed.
Yeah, placed by the bot lane of all people.
Yeah.
They've decided to invest their early vision to try and really help out Chi-Chi. Make sure does Fiora can get the ideal start. There's another phenomenal ward as well, keeping tabs as to where Babbitt may be pathing towards.
Chiefs gonna, Kisei rather gonna find Dajang. Not sure if it was warded. The way Kisei pathed almost implied that he placed a ward in that bush. So that might be something that they saw on Mammoth's side and considered it to be a ward, but it's actually not. And he'll have another one to place after, the first couple of waves. Either way, it is just going to be a little bit of a slower start to this one. High kill threat for sure between both junglers when they gank. And some volatile lanes, particularly through top lane. That is the direction that junglers can path if they wanted to. It's very hard to say exactly where they're going to go just yet, though. Babip doing his red side most likely will just go back towards the blue, but could sneak a gank in top lane. Just note that he would be spotted and counter-ganked, however.
He's been spotted at both camps so far. You mentioned this top lane, bit of a skill match in terms of it can certainly go either way with a lot of jungle influence to try and force it either side.
Fiora usually has a very good level 1. Jax tends to start with a counter-strike in a lot of those lanes, but can go for the W just to have some more prolific damage in those trades. But it seems like Biopanther has managed to afford himself total lane control, played the wave, got an experience advantage, and Babip is going to have an invade.
Which is really good for him, right? Because it allows him to say, I can come in here and what is your Fiora going to do? Sacrifice their own minion wave. Ward goes down, complete control of Akano, jumping on in. Look at Bio just flashing and leaping past the tower. There's first blood.
Just disregards Chi-Chi completely. Bot going in as well.
Either side of the lane right now, either side of the map, rather just wants to be aggressive. Flash is being burnt and fights occurring. Raze finds the kill onto Entrust. And Voice can merely watch from afar. Has a teleport, no ignite.
And that's Raze running the cleanse as well. Only the one offensive summoner spell to be used there, and it was just the exhaust from Alidoric, and they get themselves a kill at level 2. Jungler gets dove by a top laner past turrets. Bot lane dies 2v2. Devastating start to this game for Mammoth.
It certainly is. But the most ideal start, absolutely, as a Chiefs fan right now. Either in winning and able to hold a lot of your summoners in check at the same time too. So, Voice desperately needs to go back to base, but mid lane now we're looking for action once again. Out goes Babbitt with the flail. Akano flashing on in, finds the root, knocks him back. Bramble Smash doing its job. Kisei is dead and the slingshot gets Darshing out of harm's way. That guarantees the kill for him. Babbitt just has to watch two crippled members in the mid jungle duo win out on that front.
Kisei with teleport up here, so we'll be able to catch the wave. Means Babbitt wants to be a little bit more proactive and take the Scuttle Crab while Akano tries to help clear that mid wave for Darjung to reset. So at the end of the day, as far as junglers are concerned, Babbitt very happy with this one, but nicely done by Mammoth to make sure they get the kill. And good pathing from Akano straight from death towards mid, helping his mid lane out, making sure it wasn't a 1v2 situation. And having that counter there secures them the kill.
It certainly does. That's what you wanted to see, what you wanted to highlight as well for a win condition for the side of Mammoth. And here's another one. Raze so far. Debuted Zeri for the first time last night up against the big dogs in Pentanet.gg. Had a phenomenal game at that. Only one death. He's really feeling himself. We talk about the term of angry gaming, and it felt like there's a little bit about it.
There was some emotions involved there for sure. Angry gaming is a funny phrase because it almost implies that you're upset, which is why you're playing, like rage queuing. But angry gaming in competitive is much more, you've motivated me to be real pissed off. Often comes from teams that have lost the day before from the top team, and that was Chiefs.
Yep.
They got Direwolves and they went to Pentanet and took their anger out. And at Pentanet.gg were the punching bag for Chiefs. It feels like, at least for the bottom lane, Mammoth is still on that same path. Race still angry.
Oh, he still is angry. I'm sure we've had our own moments of that as well when you're hanging in Discord with friends. They mute their mic for a second, the music goes loud, and they just start to do...
It's me, daily.
Some crazy moments of action.
I actually just mute and start cooking, hard style.
It is a buff, I tell you what, mate. The right song comes on, and you just gain LP.
Mongolian throat singing is the new jam.
That got us hyped for today, I'll tell you that much.
So good.
Well, here comes Babbitt.
Real dive threat.
Sneaking himself in, but they fully are aware of this. Akano's there once again. Bio's literally once again walking past the turret. Jumps into action. Not going to try and find his target. He's found it. And this Krug will never be taken by Maokai.
Chi-Chi just left shaking his head. He's like, what do I do? He's pushing the wave in. There's 30 minions under my turret. And he's just singed techs me and just walks past. Tries to like look like he's proxying the wave, just kills my jungler off cooldown. But again,
Very close there to Voice falling on down. Zap was on CD, otherwise that would have been a collision up against the turret itself.
that Bio probably just calling skill diff right now, but it's not a top lane matchup. It's not a skill diff in the 1v1. Bio controlled the wave from level 1 and has used that wave control to win jungle, which is so influential on the game state.
Oh, it's been a delight to watch. Just seeing how it's all panned out here in the first 7 minutes of gameplay. That does unlock the ability for the likes of even the bot lane now of Chiefs just to push aggressively, plant more vision down, really zone away Akano from, first of all, gearing up, but being able to influence and counteract this action. He's going to poke his head into mid lane once again whilst the dragon gets taken by the Chiefs. That is being taken successfully. Kisei still running, but gets knocked up there by the charge from Kisei. Rather from the Yone, I should say.
That was nice by Mammoth though, right? The Drake's being done and just under their nose sneaks in from the bottom side as well, which is the side of the map that Kisei wants to hover towards because that's where his team is. They'll get the cheeky engage, they'll get the kill. Now 1-0-1 with a nice CS advantage is the AD of Mammoth. And Maxima is very quickly learning what a caster curse looks like when you call Kisei the MVP the split early with a hot take, and here he is.
You can't say anything these days.
No, we're just not allowed to make hot takes anymore.
We just have to be neutral and talk about what we see on our screen.
But he is being targeted, right? He is being ganked by Akano. Rightly so, deserves that targeting with how good he has been.
For sure.
I don't want to make sure that he gets another free experience on Summoner's Rift. Mid diff is jungle diff. Is what Kisei is probably saying to team comms right now. And then jungler is saying,
but in jungle diff is top diff. Yeah, exactly. So hey, you can only keep one of your solo laners happy. As is the strife of a jungler's life. And we go once again. Raze expending his mana, flashing as he zaps across, gets hit by the Encore, insta cleanse, doesn't care, Captain Jack style. Looks to try and take it in trust here with the burst fire and the auto attack after. And Voice once again forced to watch his support fall down.
And once again we find an immobile ADC being picked in the support position against the Chiefs just being completely picked apart. It was the Caitlyn yesterday. That was just being targeted. And they kind of just disregard the enemy AD. It doesn't matter what champion that is. It's mid going hard again.
Yeah, Kisei really filling it nat trade, wasn't he?
Perhaps Voice wishing he was a Draven, however, so that he could make that trade as well.
I respect it.
Ronald.
I respect it. I respect it! Dajong, yes!
Yeah, you summed it up nicely. Good solo. Kisei just had a crack.
He took a stab in the dark.
Tanked the turret. He's lost most of his health in an attempt in the 0-2. Silas is now 0-3. But not to say that the throw wasn't caught. Very safe hands of Dajong. Make sure that you make that mistake. I'm going to lock you down for it. That's a Fed Yone. And that is certainly a Silas who is floundering.
It is, which is, yeah, certainly uncharacteristic. But this is the exciting time now, right? It's the fact that Dajong is ahead.
Yeah.
And a point of his game that we have been at times a little bit critical of is his ability to then spread that elsewhere, to be very roam heavy with it, to share the wealth, if you will. And I mean, we saw inklings of it yesterday on the Zoe, poking his head into top lane.
I mean, I'll put it simply for you, Skimmy. He has to put it elsewhere. He has to share the love elsewhere.
He has to go bot lane.
2 shutdowns.
Has to look at top lane, for instance, and say, this Jack's a bit of a menace. Because maybe at this stage, bot lane feels like a bit of a foregone conclusion. It's looking a little bit doomed. There's the lightning crash once again. The empowered burst fire makes light work of it, and Raze hanging on for dear life there. Cops a nice little heal.
Voice 10 HP is going to stay at the turret. They're kind of nearby, but here comes Kisei. We spoke about Dajong needing to be here. Well, he better start teleporting. Otherwise, it's just going to be a dead Voice.
Hey, sometimes you hit those. Look, skill shots. Who cares? He gets the kill.
Something they want to contest is the question, right? Jax has moved mid with teleport, ready to go. He can very easily catch the mid wave, transition that back towards his top wave before Chi-Chi can push that one in. Chiefs just turn on the accelerator. They turn on their willow.
So the Observer's dead as well.
POV, you're a minion. Jax has just lanterned you to the dome.
Just drunk in the rift.
But again, Chiefs just, again, it's a clean dive, right? Like,
Yeah.
they did their setup, but the setup is, in reality, Raze and Aladoric just being stronger 2v2. Babip's easily able to come down, and if we just talk about the fact that Darjog might be needed to find success for his team, get some counter ganks potentially there, teleport potentially towards the plays. There's a shutdown on the Zeri, but now it's an Immortal Shield Bow. Very hard to kill once those summoners come back.
Looking a lot harder to try and win out on that front here as Darjog really filling himself, coming back to lane. Constantly trading very aggressively, up by 30 CS as well, doing a phenomenal job this one. Maybe the investment from Meccano playing towards his lane will pay off. He's going to cop another gank here. This time Aladoric is there to back up the Sejuani. Just launches them out of lane to summon the Herald instantly.
Yeah, straight in the face. Will be the charge successful? Kisei not going to get any of the gold. Try as he might to get closer to the turret. One auto attack away from another turret plate as well in mid lane right now. Rod of Age is done for Kisei as well. Mythic completed. Tanky, not as much damage. Probably enough.
Maokai ult stolen away and forced to flash away from 2 ults going his direction. As the arrow from downtown doesn't connect. They took a stab in the dark there. Babip still feeling himself to maybe find something, but realizing I'm getting collapsed upon by every single angle here. Ray's just winning a 1v1 down bot lane as it all happens. So he's living his absolute best life now.
He's happy. Very happy Sailor down in that bot lane. If you're going to isolate the Seraphine in a 1v1, he's just going to all-in you, jump over those walls. Cleanse was used, but that was probably just to get out of Voice's ult to continue to kill him. He is just that strong. Ash Arrow did go wide in mid lane as well, so that wasn't going to be available to help out bottom. And like I was just saying before as well, Kisei has gone for that Rod of Ages build, so he's being slower in his scaling, a little bit of a weaker mid game, and it's a 1 and 3 Silas, so he's not going to be strong. But eyes on Biopanther now as he tries to get himself out of a dangerous situation.
Let's see what he can do. He's forced to burn a flash to escape their grasp there. Doesn't need to entertain that action because he knows that his team is just winning elsewhere on the map. Turret in the bot lane taken, 4-0 Zeri, second dragon now been acquired.
Also a very wide flank from an Ashe without ult at that time. So...
Copper volley to the head.
Yeah, gives him a bit of a slow and then says, all right, you've earned safety. We'll watch what happens bottom. Raze quite simply jumps over the wall, probably just pops his ult and starts damaging him and cleanses instantly, and that's it. That's going to be every trade from now on. Voice doesn't get to play in a lane. He doesn't get to exist.
So anyway, I started blasting.
That is
would have been the comms.
Not the Draven that we saw yesterday. It is quite the opposite. This is one of those... We sat here and complimented Mammoth all of the things that they did right yesterday, and it feels like they've drafted themselves a completely different style.
Yeah, I always get confused when it comes to drafts because sometimes I think you get too lost in the source of you need to counter what they have versus how does this all actually function together. Automation-wise, I think you are right in terms of it's not going to be the Demonic Embrace. He is forced to be a bit more of a tank if it is to be the Radiant Virtue.
Which means your sole AP is a 0-2 Seraphine who spikes really well with one item but tends to not scale as crazy with damage output past this point. And so armor is very easy to purchase is the main point that I want to make there.
Oh, we're on top lane. Bio really taking a challenge so far and just absolutely annihilating Chi-Chi there. Arrow down bot lane. Trying to pick apart Kisei at the same time too, who can look to try and return the favor with his own ult. He get rooted underneath the turret. Akano goes, oh, I'm not too sure about that one. That was clever. Dodges out the arrow. I like that from Akano. Doesn't save him from dying. However, Kisei turns on the burner and now stabilizes his KDA, and then Trust is caught between a rock and a hard place. Raze knows he's hit. He's just got to find him.
Well, he might have got out there with the recall. Voice in mid being dove.
Yeah, he really is. He's going to try and flash away. Oh, Babbitt holds his ult for the last moment there. And it's a win on 2 separate fronts, 2 headbutt charges and 2 kills.
The boar and the cat just working together nicely. It's a tank moving faster, hitting those stuns. Bot lane's dive attempts. We're certainly doubling down on drowning. Just making sure, just really like The Ash arrow had missed, the opportunity disappeared. Dajong had used his E and was looking to perhaps, you know, go forwards, make the play, hit the knock-up misses, and they're like, I mean, we're here. We may as well keep trying, but so many cooldowns had already missed. And the Rod of Ages build is tanky.
It is. And if we talk about scaling, well, he's certainly scaled himself into a position now where all that early game great work to try and put this man in your screen ahead, feeling a little bit undone now at this point in the game. A fairly healthy leader, fairly comprehensive one from top to bot, you'd say, really, for every member of the Chiefs. They've tried to gank every single lane, and it's not been as successful as they would have liked. It really has just been take down Kisei and see where that leads us to. So it's a curious spot to be in now, because trying to find some way back into the river to contest these objectives, I think, is going to be fairly impossible.
I mean, if Jax is solo killing a Fiora, if Silas is unkillable, and if everywhere the Zeri goes, someone dies, you don't get to play League of Legends on your terms anymore. You play on the Chiefs' terms. The Chiefs will dictate where the battlefield is. They will choose the battlefield. Right now, they are threatening Drake's side of the river. Mammoth are clumping up. I think they would have taken that 3v4 if they were given the opportunity.
I was waiting for Babbitt to send it. Knowing that the ult was ready.
It's just a lack of cross-mapping as well, right? Like, Akano really suffered at the hands of Babip, but all Babip did was invade.
Yeah.
He just had the team to back him up, specifically Biopanther to back him up. And if Akano's out of the game and can't be aggressive, Mammoth seemed to be out of options. Their bot lane was simply losing. Their top laner was ignored. He was left on red.
Oh, he definitely did get left on scene. One of the most painful things you can ever experience. In jumps Babbitt, locks in place his target. The encore goes out. Charm stun, dead is seemingly the outcome of this one. Chiefs find what they need. Babbitt is just getting it done, and Raze is the one profiting. Look at him now, 6-0.
Listen, Kisei's reset that KDA. No longer looks like he's running it down. It's 3-3-1, back to normal. Rest of the team, of course, deathless so far. Another turret to fall. Gold League grows to about 9,000, but with a lot of room for that to stretch even further, because we're only 18 minutes into this one. Now, this feels like Chiefs vs Mammoth 2022 all over it.
It certainly does. And they've had some fairly quick games in the past, but this feeds into the point earlier at the start of the day, right? We're expecting a 20-minute Baron spawn for a fight that could certainly seal the fate here. 15 seconds now. And the next Drake is up for grabs. You can imagine that one's going to be picked up, and they can then look to try and turn their attention to a quick reset into that Baron.
I think the last straw that breaks the camel's back is going to be the Mikhails for Alidoric. He's well on the way to that being completed. Once he has that, everyone's safe from an Ashe stun. Right, everyone's safe from that engage. Ashe then no longer becomes a champion in this one. They're reliant on some kind of crazy combo from Dajong and Voice, just to like layer 5 people back to back perfectly.
Yeah.
Even then, I'm not sure they would win a fight. So the truth is, it needs a mistake from the Chiefs if they want to have a shot.
Drake taken and ult stolen away there by Kisei. He's taking a 1v1 right now, but for how much longer? Arrow goes out. Can he miss it? No. Hits him right on his head. Dajong wants to go in, but goes for the dash and gets stunned from the other angle. Tries to ult to disengage away, but that gets cancelled. Across the wall inside the base. Entrust flashing to safety. Bio says, I want more. I'll get more. Counter-Strike goes out. Just out of range to land a stun, so he's going to die. And Chi-Chi says that's worth, but it is to be Voice that picks up that shutdown. The fight continues. And it is Kisei that still has the Yone out hijacked away, waiting to try and pull the trigger. 8-0 now. Is raised, and there it is. There's the triple. There's the quadra kill to give them the ace.
Very nicely done by the Chiefs. Bio just really having a bit of fun with them there. Sees how far he can push his limits. Found his limit, but still the team fight for the Chiefs follows shortly afterwards. 12k lead, 18-4 is the kills. They'll get 2 inhibitors for this one, most likely, with the death timers being still a little bit too low to go all in for the end. But with a 10-0 Zeri to play around, wherever Raze wants to go, you just back him up and it'll be winning.
It certainly is. At this point of the game, you can do no wrong.
Second inhibitor, it's inevitable. It is going to fall on down. Mammoth decide to try and push this one forward. They still have the Yone ult. In they jump now, looking for Babip. He is running the blue smite pet, so he's going to ultimately be very fast, but not have that tenacity. Doesn't matter, raised and now legendary. Once again, starting up that killing spree. He's found 2. Can we find that Penta? There's the 3rd. On for the 4th. Stun him in place. Can we get it? No, we can't. He's out of range. You can see the team was trying to make it happen. They're just out of range of that burst fire there, so instead they turn their attention back towards the Nexus. Turret goes down. Here we go for the second. Would Mammoth entertain the idea of that pentakill continuing? We look for it back inside the fountain. They go charmed into the lasers. Race survives. He's burning. Cat on his head. Still healing. Protect the perfect KDA. But he'll still go in for more. Why wouldn't he? End the game, and that is GG.
That laser almost got a penta. That laser was really close to not just getting the 1 kill, but to getting potentially 3. But another day in the office here for the Chiefs. It feels like business as usual. They show up, they get it done. They're able to very easily celebrate with plenty of time left in the day, given how quick and cohesive that victory was. Mammoth not exactly doing the same things as yesterday that found them success, trying something a little bit different again, something we've seen from them before, but something that we've seen that hasn't worked from them before.
Much harder composition to try and execute, you'd say, and obviously a far higher caliber of a team to take on too.
Yeah, but look, Dajong certainly won that mid lane matchup with a little helping hand. Kisei, some happy gaming, some angry gaming. Not too sure what kind of gaming it was, but it was gaming of some sort. Max, what was your take on what went down in the Rift?
I actually heard you saying, Rusty, about how I cast a cursed Kisei, because after I hype him up as an MVP, he drops the absolute worst performance we've seen from him all split. Like, there's no other way to describe it other than that he was having fun. Like, at least in that early part, he was definitely doing some things when he ulted under the tower with the stolen Yone ultimate. But look, as soon as he was like, okay, guys, I'm actually going to start trying, it was just Chiefs, what you've seen from them normally. So yeah, a bit of a less intense start, but as soon as they switched on, you know, it was lights out.
Watch him cook. Watch him cook.
Hold up.
No.
Ooh.
What a gamer.
Oh.
Minions weren't even under the turret yet.
Oh, what about this? Oh, dead.
Just wanted to flex, you know, just wanted to show who was the Sigma male. Unfortunately, it wasn't him that time. But crazy scenes all over the damn Rift as well.
Yeah, and the thing that I wanted to point out this game was the bot lane from Mammoth. It was definitely out of left field, and you know, we talked so much about like how the Nautilus works in the last game, and they've gone for this Ashe Seraphine bot lane, right? It's the exact opposite of a bot lane that you're expecting to 1v9 or carry, right? So when you are willing to concede and put all of your eggs in the Daejong basket, it sort of leaves you no room once you fall behind, right? And you know, Daejong did get that lead, like you said, Mac, early on with the help from Meccano, but after this play, really, it was sort of stabilized the game for Kisei, and after that, what can you really do?
Not much. There wasn't much of a game from that point, you know, and objective control, rather. It was all Babip, you know, in terms of the jungle. Akano didn't have much to do in there. We even, you know, were looking at his initial jungle path and questioning what the hell was going on there. It was all over the place, and maybe it was to try to, you know, screw around with some timings, but it didn't work, and Babip went for the invade, got that kill, and it was easy pickings. And a relatively easy game eventually. Look, 10 towers to none, 3 Drakes to none, all stonked coming up Chiefs. And everyone that put the 8% of the 2.1+ million Twitch points, unfortunately just donated a few more Twitch points to the Chiefs predictors. But we could have predictions, right? That's something. Anything you want to touch on, Rusty, in terms of, you know, the item builds, anything here?
No, I think this is the first time we've seen the Rod of Aegis Silas be actually effective, though, and like it can be a very tanky champion that denies playing towards mid a lot. So if you are playing like this Yone Maokai playing towards the Yone, suddenly it's impossible to kill the person that he's laning against, and like that dissuades any kind of options of that, and that's a part of why Silas is so good, but also why teams are now playing around their bottom lane and mid lane instead of playing around their mid laners like last year.
Okay, well, someone that was having a little bit of fun in the top lane was Bio Panther, and we've got him here for the post-match interview. Bio, how you feeling?
Hello.
How was that match up for you today, and did you give Babip a big handshake for feeding you a couple of kills?
I kind of respect Chi-Chi for locking in the Fiora. I actually didn't expect him to pick it. I thought he was just going to pick Asante, and then I'll just pick Jackson and we're going to scale, but he wanted to flip the match up, and I was just happy to play it. So I've been practicing it for a while, so I'm just really proud that I actually got game off.
Brandon, at what point did you tell Kisei to stop griefing the game after he ulted under the turret?
I literally hear him like sigh in the mic like, like literally at 0-3, it was unbelievable. And I was just like, just stop inting. Like both sides are winning. All you have to do is AFK, and he just buys Rod, and then was pure scaling. So I feel like we're just waiting for him just to sit back, relax, and do his Kisei thing, you know?
How did you, were you jungle tracking? Were you making sure you knew where Akano was at all times? Because Babip just seemed to have this read. Every time he tried to go to his blue side, he was just dead for the first, like, 7 minutes.
So, like, I was just commenting that, like, Maokai has to path up top. Bot is, like, uninfluential. So if you think about it, like, he has to start Wolves or Red into top. And if he does 3 camps, I always get the top push into walk-in. But then, literally, Sejuani found him first, hard chunked him, and I just got first blood. So I think it's just really predictable when you see stuff like that. And when I see, like, junglers in their clears where they should at least know that they're going to get invaded because they have, like, 2 losing lanes, like, topside, then, I don't know, we just punished it really well.
Now, I wanted to get your opinion on this because this is something that I've sort of talked to a couple of people about. But how do you like the Jax Fiora matchup? Because, like, in my experience, it has been slightly Fiora favored, but today you just made it seem like it wasn't even close.
I think laning phase, it feels rough when she goes Scorch Grasp. Like, of course, you're just going to slowly get chunked out, but you always just go second wind, D-shield, and then you just face tank, and then you just keep ordering the wave. And, like, of course, like, it really depends, because if she RNGs a good Vital, like, level 1, she will get pushed, but I think, like, you will just outscale her. Like, it just feels really hard, because, like, laning phase, it'll be hard, but, you know, outside of lane, you're just going to win, so...
There you have it. Don't you love a couple of top laners just nerding out together? Look, Bio, enjoy the win. Enjoy your weekend, and we'll see you next week for much more LCO.
Appreciate it. Thanks, King. Goodbye.
He did it again.
Oh, there it is.
Crown, put it back on. I've missed that. It's been a while since he called the king. But look, it was great to talk with Bio. Great to have you guys, chatting about the top lane. We don't get to talk about the top lane enough here on the LCO. Like, who was the last talent other than Max that was a top laner?
No.
Just no.
Hasn't been.
It's literally the least impactful role in comp, so it makes sense that no one
Who was the
talks
last
about
talent we had on the couch that wasn't a jungler? Oh, wait, Lee Sin.
it. Yeah, true.
Yeah, bit of a cheeky Lee Sin game in there, mate.
throwback.
That's time.
Yep.
Look, well, it's time to talk about the Dare MVP. Let's see who you guys put up for the Dare MVP for game 1 of the day. It was Raze, 13-0-2. I don't even see that KDA. Look at the man. He is just pumping the numbers. 68% KP. And we asked how Voice would fare today, but look, he played a champ that didn't really help him out at all, especially going up against the likes of Raze, and he didn't help himself. Raze just helped everyone by making the game real short.
Raze silenced Voice in bot lane. You can see by the pose here as well, told him to hush. This is how you play the lane out. He's so good on Zeri.
Yeah.
He is so good on Zeri. You saw the highlights from him yesterday as well. Like, made it look like a montage moment, like Hollywood style, jumping at walls, predicting abilities and blast cones, and has not stopped. He's been good on this champion since the day it came out.
Which is funny because Voice, remember when Zeri came out, he was one of the first Zeri adapters we saw in the LCO. But look, adapters, you guys, you've probably plugged before. I have
You like
no idea where I was
adapters?
going. You like adapters? You've been overseas, you got those adapters? I've got a couple of those. From the fans, huh? You guys sent some stuff in from the fans.
Great segue, Mac.
That was the best. That's my best segue I've ever done. Natty Light Rob, you'll go to bed. I do. I'm pretty tired right now. These lights, my future's too bright. I have to close my eyes, so maybe I got to go to sleep. What about you, Rusty?
I mean, if I won, I will go to bed.
Makes sense, yep.
I feel like what Rob might be saying here is that he hasn't won in a very long time.
He's got the red carpet OPGG.
Yeah, that's
just
the one.
been playing for the last 26 hours in a row.
That profile picture's actually him.
Eyes matching the defeat screen, just red eyes, red match history.
Just completely gone. Let's have a look at the next one.
I got a fun fact quickly before our next game, because Ground Zero are actually playing. A player who doesn't actually sleep at all is Tron. I know Tron apparently wakes up like literally an hour before games.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's because he's losing all of them or that's just the way he does it. But, pro players as well are not immune to the sleep schedules.
Okay.
That's true.
Well, you've heard this one. Anyway, let's move on to the next one.
I sleep well.
What does this
That's
one
all
say?
I'm saying. I don't lose, mate. I go to bed happy.
You're well rested?
Yeah.
Okay.
And that's a complete lie, but I'm gonna have that energy.
Yeah, just win. Also,
Manifest win.
production has let us know that you've updated your profile picture today, of course.
I'm wearing the black version. There's the white shirt. Today's the black shirt
Look,
version.
you're wearing the jacket.
Got the
Beautiful.
chroma.
We got one more to have a quick look at, and it's the Skimmer.
Who are these people?
Who are they?
Can't go to better loser, huh?
Well, look, so what happened last night for me, right? 1:40 a.m. I'm thinking, you know what, queue up for a cheeky little ARAM, why not? And then, you know, a cheeky solo cube ARAM as well, so I'm that much of a demon. End up in a lobby of old mate Gunners and Fesh and a few other lads, and we absolutely
You've really
smurf it.
shorthanded the word gun crab. People
Gunners,
do
mate.
know.
Gunners.
The
Old mate got it
player
done.
that's currently not in the league. Any
Yeah,
new watchers?
big
Gun
crabbies.
Crab from the last 2 years.
He's an absolute beast on the old Ret Paladin. He gets it done, and certainly in that game he smashed it out for the boys there, because I was playing Sona. I said, look, these guys are far more high elo than me. I'll just sit in the back, chuck out a cheeky ult, maybe miss a few here and there, but it doesn't matter, because you get the heal, you do Seraphine, things like that, and we went to victory. So I went to bed feeling great for today.
All I heard was Skimmy loves ARAMs, and I love the max of the week, which is coming up just after the break. That, of course, is going to be Bliss up against Ground Zero, and that's coming up just after the break. Go hydrate, and we'll see you then.
It doesn't matter what champion that is. Mid going hard again.
Yeah, Kisser really filling it that trade, wasn't he?
Perhaps Voice wishing he was a Draven, however, so that he could make that trade as well.
I respect it.
Ronald.
I respect it. I respect it! Dash! Trying to pick apart Kisser at the same time too, who can look to try and return the favor with his own ult. To get rooted underneath the turret. Akano goes, oh, I'm not too sure about that one. That was clever. Dodges out the arrow. I like that from Akano. Doesn't save him from dying. However,